Hello and welcome to the Vinyl Sanctuary. My name is Christian and I hope that you will join me in taking refuge in records. So I'm here today with part one of a two-part series, a mini-series if you will, where I'm going to be looking at a batch of records that I acquired over my birthday celebrations this year. So 2025 turned 43, feeling very, very lucky and very blessed and very loved by family and friends during that time, and I was the very grateful recipient of a number of records. So I went up to the Lake District as part of my birthday celebrations to attend a brilliant record fair in a beautiful, idyllic Lake Windermere. So if you are new to my channel, or if you're still catching up on some content that I've posted of late at the time of recording, then please do have a look at that video to see the 4 albums which I picked up at the fair, which were again part of my birthday haul, if you will. So the other 18 records were gifted to me from family, so siblings, my wife, parents-in-law as well. So feeling very, very lucky indeed. I have been able to give my collection a good boost through those acquisitions, been able to plug a few gaps in some of the discographies of artists and bands in particular that I do collect, and still working through quite a few of them. I've not had a chance to play them all yet, but I am getting there. I've given them all a clean up. They all look to be in lovely condition, and I've kind of shopped around from various traders and sellers, some of them online, some of them local dealers as well. So as and when I get to those records, I'll explain where they came from and whom they were bought from. So that's pretty much it, really. I haven't ranked any of these albums or anything. They're just all records that I'm very pleased to have. I have picked them in a very considered manner for the reasons I've just explained. They are ones I've wanted to get for some time. In some cases, I know that's certainly been the case in part two. They were albums which I owned on CD, but I've still just never gotten round to replacing on vinyl, if you will, until now. I don't collect CDs at all anymore. I only exclusively collect vinyl. So it has been lovely to reacquaint myself with those titles and get them on vinyl format for the purposes of my collection and also for showing them here on the channel as well. Okay, so I hope you enjoy what I'm about to show you here in part one. So we've got 9 albums here to go, and then in part two, which I'll return with as soon as I can, there'll be another 9 to show. And then when you throw in those 4 at the Lake District, then I've got a very nice haul of 22 records there. So feeling really, really fortunate and very happy about that. Okay, so kicking us off then today, we've got a record here that was a present from my little sister. She's only a couple of years younger than me. Still call her my little sister though, and she had an inkling that I wanted to get this album. It's an artist who takes us both back to our childhood and very much reminds us of our dear mother. She used to listen to this artist an awful lot. He's got a huge place in her heart, and this album in particular and a good few songs off it were favourites of Mum's. So it's really nice to have an album here purchased for me by my sister, which will certainly and does make me think of Mum whenever I do go on to give it a spin. So Mum was over the moon when I contacted her on my birthday to tell her what my sister had got for me. So she definitely gave it the seal of approval. Okay, so this originally came out in 1973, and I think this pressing is from maybe about 1980 from memory, so it is a repress, and it's a Portuguese pressing as well for anybody interested in that type of thing. So it's a double album, and yeah, this one's for Mum and my sister. We've got Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John, the one and only Elton John. There we go. So you can see there down the bottom, just there, that the illustration, the beautiful artwork throughout, front and back and the inside, is by Ian Beck. So for anybody who's new to my channel, what I do tend to do is show the records off, front cover, back cover, have a little chat about them, pick a few favourite songs, show you things of interest such as gatefolds, inner sleeves, lyric sheets, that sort of thing. And if any bits of trivia or commentary, I suppose, pop into my head while I'm talking, then I'll just add that in as well as we go, and then I move on to the next one. So this is actually a record that I showed again at the time of recording quite recently as part of my All My Colours series, where I'm looking at all the records in my vinyl collection that have a colour in the title. That was a brilliant idea put forward to me by Jesse, who is a subscriber to the channel and a big supporter of what I do. So big shout out to Jesse. So this one has been featured before on the channel, but I still haven't played it. The reason being that I explained in that colours video that I was actually showing it ahead of my birthday, and I did promise my sister that I would only play it after my birthday had taken place. You know, you got to be disciplined. You got to do these things properly. But she was kind enough when I explained to her that I needed to show it as part of my colour series to open that gift a little bit earlier than planned. So you know, huge kudos to her for being agreeable to that. So I do need to give this one a spin. It looks to be in lovely condition, but it is an album that I do know very, very well indeed, but it's just taken me some time to finally acquire it on vinyl. So I'm glad that I've been able to remedy that. So what I'll do before I show you the inside is I'll just take these records out, and then it's easier to show the gatefold off and that sort of thing. So let's get these out here. Do my best to try and get it all into shot. So let's just do the front cover again there. First of all, there's Elton there. And then there's the back, obviously with the track listing. And then inside we have got, so this actually pulls out a little bit more. So let's do the band first. So there's Elton there, reclining there on his bench. Great photograph. David Johnston there, Elton's guitarist, very, very underrated in my opinion, superb player. And then we've got Bernie Taupin, of course, Elton's songwriting partner, does all the lyrics. Got Dee Murray there, and then we have got Nigel Olsson. Just move my hand there a little bit. There's Nigel Olsson there in the corner. So there's the band. And then we've got these illustrations here throughout the inside where, you know, they are in keeping with the lyrical themes of each song. So for instance there, as you can see, if we can get her in, got Marilyn Monroe there, which of course is in reference to Candle in the Wind, which I think is one of the greatest tribute songs ever written, certainly one of my favourite songs on this album. And I do think it's one of Elton John's greatest ever songs. And Bernie's, of course, you know, full stop. Just a beautiful song, that one. Okay, so let's pull everything out here to see. I'll stand up here. Try and get everything in if we can. Do some close-up work there. There we go. Just try and do it justice, really, so people can see just how much effort has gone into that packaging. There we go. Try and get that corner in there as well. There we go. Hopefully that gives people a chance to see it properly. So before I continue speaking, I should put everything away here, keep everything in sequence, keep everything nice and orderly, which is how I like to do things here. Okay. I do have room here to work in terms of showing records off, but you know, it's not oodles of space, but it's not exactly a broom cupboard either. It just gives me the chance to keep everything orderly, then that way the records aren't piling up too much and getting in the way while I'm trying to talk and comment. So there's one away. Let's get that second one away. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, all done and dusted. There, all put away. Right, so favourite tracks then. So I do think that this record has one of the greatest side ones in the history of pop and rock music. So for anybody who's unfamiliar with the album there, we get Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, the aforementioned Candle in the Wind, which is truly beautiful, and then Benny and the Jets. I love all of the opening tracks though on each side of this record. So on side 2, we get the title track Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which I would say is my favourite on the album. It really, really is. Definitely one of Mum's favourites as well. And I just love the lyrical theme of that one. I mean, the instrumentation is superb and Elton sounds fantastic on it, but you know, the whole sort of premise of farm boy leaving his home behind to go and follow his own yellow brick road, perhaps to go and seek fame and fortune, only to arrive there, perhaps experience what he thought his hopes and dreams would be, and maybe realizing that things back home were maybe better than he expected, or perhaps it's just a song about longing and yearning for returning to one's roots. So I do think that there is a real universal theme to that song. I think it's one that perhaps at some point in our lives we've maybe all experienced, or we know people that have experienced that, where they're just looking for something and maybe they just want to sort of set foot out into the great wide world, but then you realise and appreciate that what you had back home and where you come from is equally important, if not more so. So that's my interpretation of the song anyway, and it's one that I have loved since being a kid. Sweet Painted Lady then is the opener on side 3, which I enjoy a great deal as well. Side 4, Your Sister Can't Twist But She Can Rock and Roll, is superb. We get the absolute rocker on here, it's a proper stomper. Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting, and then towards the end of the record, another couple of favourites. We get Social Disease and Harmony as well to finish. So it's a really strong album throughout, is Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I do think it's one of the best double albums out there in music history. That isn't a compilation, it's a studio album. So I do think that the quality of songwriting on display here is top notch. I also know that there's a good few Elton John fans that do tune into me. So I'd be really interested to know how highly you rate this album. Do you regard it as being Elton John's best, if not the very best of all? Do you think it's maybe overrated? Do you think it's even still maybe a bit underrated as well? It does tend to do very well in these greatest albums of all time polls, but it usually does lose out to the likes of the Beatles and the Stones and other big artists like that from the ones I've seen. Do you think it should be above some of those albums by those artists? I know that there are people that really do adore this record, and quite rightly so. It is an outstanding achievement, and I'm really, really pleased to now have it in my own collection. So, yeah, all you Elton John fans out there, please do let me know what you think of it. I'm sure many of you have got some beautiful memories of growing up and listening to this and spinning it. And, even though I'm a lot younger, I wasn't born until 1982. I've got my own memories of this record thanks to my mum. So, yeah, it's a big one in our family. So I think that's a really nice way to get us started off for part 1 of this particular little mini series, and a lovely record to have, courtesy of my sister Hanau for a birthday present. So I'm really looking forward to playing that one when the time feels right. There just has been a few others that I did play ahead of it, but I will get round to it, and I'll know when that moment is upon me to do so. Okay, so there we go. That's us starting off this part then. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Okay, so the next 2 records I'm going to be showing now are both by the same band, and I am a huge fan of their debut, which came out in 1978. I've definitely spoken about that album a few times on the channel before, and when I saw these two together, I got them on the same day, got them from the same shop. I was really over the moon. So these were both bought from King Bee Records, which is in Cholton, which isn't too far away from me at all. And it is my favourite record shop, full disclosure. I absolutely adore King Bee Records. I've been going there for a number of years. Mike and Neil, who work there, are the 2 gentlemen that I often deal with, and they're just an absolute pleasure to speak to, extremely knowledgeable about music, just really great guys. And what I love about King Bee is that it always has a superb array of stock, but it's also really well priced as well, very reasonably priced. You can pick up some excellent titles in there, and the day that I went in as part of my birthday celebrations was no exception. So yeah, over the moon to have these 2. So coming up first then, we have got, well, I should say who the band are first, shouldn't I? So the band is The Only Ones, and the first record here I'm showing is Only Serpents Shine. Or Even Serpents Shine. There you go. I said only twice because they're the only ones, aren't they? It's better than saying the even ones anyway, wasn't it? So there you go. That's making a little a little faux pas there, but no, it is Even Serpents Shine by the Only Ones. But then again, maybe only Serpents Shine could work as well. There you go. See, what am I like? Tripping over myself. So yeah, this is a superb album, 1979. I'm not so sure about the cover art. I've never really been a big fan of it, to be fair. Not quite sure what's going on with it. We've got this sort of, the shadowy figure here looming, and then It's Mike Kelly there, isn't it, on drums? He looks like he's just sort of been superimposed there into the scenery. Yeah, I mean, there might be people there who totally go for me now and say this is like, the greatest artwork ever, and that's fair enough if you do believe that. I mean, this is just all my own opinion. I only just share my own opinions on this channel. But yeah, I've never been a fan of it. I love the artwork on the next one I'm showing, and I love the artwork on the debut. Some great photographs. But if anybody's got any sort of discussion or commentary on this artwork, maybe there's a concept here that I'm missing that someone could point out to me, I would be really, really keen to learn, and it may even change my mind on what I think. But yeah, I've just never particularly liked it. So, but the album itself is absolutely superb. I'm still kind of deciding in my head whether or not I think this is a better album than the debut. I do think there's very, very fine margins. Now, this is one that I have played since getting it for my birthday. I was really, really keen to get it on. So, yeah, it was on pretty much straight away when I got home. So I was really, really happy just to rush back and get it spun. I never had it on CD, so this is one now that I've owned for the first time in any format, really. Okay, so here's the back cover as well. I'll just show you that before I carry on talking. It's got the band members listed there. There we go. And then we'll get into some favourite tracks. It's just a plain inner on mine, so I'm not sure if this originally came with a printed sheet or anything, but second-hand copy. It's just got a plain white sleeve. So for anybody who's not familiar with the Only Ones, I would say that they would fall, excuse me, into sort of post-punk, new wave, alternative guitar music. I mean, there's some absolutely heroic guitar playing throughout their discography by John Perry, amazing guitarist. I mean, he really, really comes into his own on the debut with the absolute gorgeous 3 minute surge of Another Girl, Another Planet. I would say that there isn't a song as immediate or as iconic as that on this album, but as an overall listen, I'm beginning to think this one might be a little bit stronger. And that's big, that's a big compliment in terms of my world and where I'm coming from because of how much I do rate and adore that debut album. So this one is definitely beginning to really rise for me in terms of having that competition with the debut. So I'm still not deciding which is the overall favourite. I kind of got them roughly neck and neck at the moment. But yeah, let's get into some of these favourites. So From Here to Eternity is an absolutely brilliant Only Ones track to open the album off. I do love Flaming Torch as well. That is truly superb. But there's a couple particularly on side two that I want to mention. So Miles from Nowhere is just awesome. That might even be my favourite song on the album. There's this brilliant line on there where he sings about I used to reach for the stars, but now I've reformed. I just think that is such a brilliant line from Peter Perrott, who is the vocalist and guitarist and lyricist in The Only Ones. We get this gorgeous song at the end of the album called Instrumental, which is just this beautiful rolling piece. It's almost got like a slightly I wouldn't well, almost like a bit of a country vibe to it in a strange way, but almost sort of blending in just more of a kind of a new wavy British post-punky sound to it as well. But it's just such a lovely, lovely piece of music, and it is virtually an instrumental right up until Pete's voice I think comes in. I think it's Peter's voice anyway that comes in towards the very end of the track. But instrumental is beautiful. I also love Program as well on side two. But every track on here is worthy of note. I'm just picking a few favourites. So for anybody who's not familiar with the album and they're looking for a few to go away and listen to, I would say From Here to Eternity and Flaming Torch. And then I would also choose Miles from Nowhere as well. Although Program and Instrumental are definitely worth checking out. But yeah, Curtains for You is great. You've Got to Pay, No Solution. It's just a really, really solid, fine album. That something that was interesting that I wanted to mention was that again at the time of recording, a regular subscriber of mine, I was discussing a group with him that I love called the Auteurs, who Luke Haynes' project from the early 1990s. And upon listening to the Auteurs, the subscriber by the name of Sean actually mentioned in reference, to the sound of the Auteurs that there was a bit of an only ones thing going on. And when I actually put this record on again, I actually did hear some similarities, certainly in some of the guitar playing of John Perry's with the auteurs. So I am wondering and thinking quite strongly now that Luke Haines was very much taking some of his guitar cues, especially from the only ones, and maybe even from this album itself. There was certainly a couple of little licks here and there on here, a couple of little sort of riffs and things that were definitely making me think of the auteurs, but it hadn't ever occurred to me before until Sean actually pointed that out. So I thought that was really interesting. So I know that definitely, that this band and this album and the others as well that they did have got their fans all over the music world, various artists from right across the spectrum, really. The Go-Betweens, for instance, we're big fans of the Only Ones and many, many others besides as well. So yeah, I'm really happy to have this record. But please do let me know, anyone, what you do think of that artwork. Are you with me on it? Thinking that it's maybe not the best, or is it something that you think is brilliant? I'm always open for a healthy discussion, so please do let me know what you feel I might be missing with that concept. And yes, it is called Even Serpent Shine. Yeah, I had a little bit of a blunder there on that one, so my apologies for that. And yeah, I don't really think there's much more for me to mention on that one. I've mentioned a few favourite tracks. I should give a shout out actually to Alan Mayer, who plays bass guitar on this as well. He's a superb bassist. I've already mentioned Mike Kelly, formerly of Spooky Tooth there, who's on drums. So he's just there, reclining there in the corner on that rather ominous looking set, that landscape. So there we go. So that's Even Serpent Shine by the Only Ones. So then, yeah, during my trip to King B, I was also then very fortunate to also pick up Baby's Got a Gun as well. So what I would say about Baby's Got a Gun is that I do think it's the weakest of the three studio albums that I've got in my collection, the debut and Even Serpent Shine. There are some enjoyable moments on it. I would say this is a little bit more sort of poppier, a bit more commercial sounding, but there is still some good tracks to enjoy on it, but I just don't think it's quite as well. I know, really, in my opinion, I know that it's not quite as strong as the other two. So there is a dip, I would say, for me personally. So I'll just show you this inside, and then we'll get into favourite tracks. So that there is a sheet included here with my copy. There we go. That's just plain there on the back. Show it you anyway there, just for completeness. Yeah, it's just got the personnel mention on here. So yeah, Pauline Murray is actually on here. Pauline Murray of the group Penetration. So she does some backing vocals on here. Kula Kukuli, I believe is how you pronounce that, is credited backing vocals as well. Got Barry Evans on here, rhythm guitar percussion, also part of the road crew, and Chris Reynolds as well, engineered by Colin Thurston. So yeah, that's just some of the extra band, personnel information on there. And it's the same lineup as well, of course, as Perrott, Kelly, Mayer, and Perry. Yeah, you could say that right. Perrott, Mayer, Kelly, and Perry. There you go. It's just a little bit of a tongue twister there, isn't it? And that's another one of those examples. This happens quite a lot with me, where I've got two copies of the inner. Yeah, I've done this. It's happened quite a few times on this channel for me. So there's one, and there's the other. Got two. Yeah, interesting. It's happened a few times, that. So there you go. 2 for 1. And yeah, great photograph. I definitely prefer this photograph to Even Serpent Shine. Just think, the band looked really cool. Love Peter Perrett's outfit. Definitely a bit of a clothes horses, Peter. Always very cool looking. Definitely a big influence as well. The Only Ones on certainly the Libertines, that came out of Britain in the early 2000s. They were big fans of the Only Ones, and then got a really good back cover image there as well. A bit of a story going on there. You can see the gun there in the background. Got Alan Mayer there on the bed. There's Kelly, Mike Kelly, Perrott there front and centre, and then John Perry there over on the side. Such a great guitar player, really good. Produced by Colin Thurston, I should mention that as well. So favourite tracks on here. So I really do love the Happy Pilgrim. It's a great way to open up. Just got a really infectious kind of, very almost like indie guitar sound to it. That one, just love the chord sequence of it. It's just very very catchy and immediate. Then we get this very very dark, why don't you kill yourself? I mean that is, and it's a really really sort of sneery, venomous song. That one, it is as vicious as it sounds. That one, it's very very ominous, very dark sounding. That one. So there is definitely a tonal shift between track one and track two. Then it kind of then changes tempo and key and shift again, where we get this sort of hey bo diddly type number in Me and My Shadow. It's definitely got that rhythm to it going on, which again it's enjoyable, but it just feels slightly derivative. I think it's a little bit throwaway, I would say, compared to some of the other songs in the Only Ones canon. Certainly catchy, but I do feel that the album in general here was aiming for a wider audience. That's just my take on it, and I'm not quite sure how successful it is in doing that. But still very very enjoyable, by any standard. Deadly Nightshade is decent as well on side one. And then there are some good songs on side two. I probably do prefer side one, if I'm being honest, on this particular album. There is one on here called Reunion, which is basically just it is the chord sequence of Sweet Home Alabama, which I remember the first time I heard Reunion, just thinking, wow, that really it for me it just felt a little bit lazy, to be honest. I've always admired and appreciated the lyrics of Peter Perrett. He's always got something to say, but I just felt some of the musical passages on here at times just felt a little bit, yeah, just maybe could have done better, should have done better. Maybe I'm being harsh there. If there's people out there that do adore this album and you feel I've got, I'm not sure what I'm talking about, then again, please do let me know. I'm always open for a chat and a debate. I'm certainly not saying that I dislike the album. I'm certainly going to be keeping it. I just think, though, that because the first two are so good, this one does feel like a bit of a dip. I do really enjoy, though, Trouble in the World. Castle Built on Sand is decent as well. But yeah, I just feel on that one that side one is stronger. Side two does veer off a little bit for me. But the instrumentation in places is still really enjoyable, and of course you get the unmistakable vocals of Peter Perrett. So if I was to choose a few songs on this one to check out, I would say The Happy Pilgrim, Me and My Shadow, just because it has got that Bo Diddley beat to it, and I'll pick four actually. It's Deadly Nightshade. No, The Big Sleep actually. I do like a lot, that closes side one, and Trouble in the World. I'd go for those four and then just see how you get on. So if anybody does go and check out The Only Ones based upon my discussion of them today, maybe they're a band that are new to you, or maybe you're just going to reconnect with them, then please do let me know how you get on. I do love that band very very much, and I'm now really pleased to have both of those records in the collection along with the debut. I've also got a live album of theirs. I've got a John Peel session of theirs as well, and I've got a compilation of them as well. So my Only Ones collection is starting to look pretty healthy. But yeah, let me know what you think of that group, and if you've got any memories of seeing them live, anything like that. I always love to hear these stories, so please do get in touch in the comments. Okay, so moving on then. So the next four records I'm showing here are all by the same artist, the same band, sorry. So this is the other group that I would say definitely take me back to childhood, take me back to listening to these songs with mum and the family as a whole. But this was mum's music that she would be playing along with Elton when she was, doing a household sort of chore. She was always busy and working. My mum, one of the hardest working people I've ever known in my life, raising five kids as well, along with my dad. So she had her hands full, and I do feel like music for her, as it is for so many of us, is just an outlet in terms of having something there to kind of keep you going and to be the soundtrack, the background music to whatever it is that you might have going on in any given day. So again, I contacted mum about these, and dad, and said to them that I was planning to pick these albums up. So the pair of them were very much in approval of my choices here. So I'll show the first one off because the other three were actually all bought by the same or from the same person, I should say. This one was bought in isolation. So this one here was bought from a seller in Lee, which is a town in the northwest. Again, not very far away from me at all. And this one is my, yeah, I would say this is my favourite of the four that I got. It's a great studio album, but the band in question are Queen, and there we go. I'd them upside down there for you. There we go. So here we've got Queen 2, which came out in 1974. So yeah, this is one I've been after for such a long time. This is a really lovely pressing, so very grateful to the dealer in Lee. Got it at a really good price as well. So these four here, these Queen records, are gifts from mum and dad. So very, very pleased with them indeed. I have given this one a spin. I haven't given the other three Queen albums I'm going to be showing you in a minute a play, but this one here played brilliantly. So happy to get it on. So just show you first of all the insides. There we go. We've got side white. We haven't got ones or twos or A's and B's here. Not with this one. And then side black. So for a lot of people, my understanding is, who are really into Queen, that this is their, or amongst their very best. Just show you that again first as well. Brilliant photograph of the group there. So from left to right, got Roger Taylor there on drums. Brian May is one of my guitar heroes on guitar, of course. Freddie Mercury down there, piano, vocals. My favourite ever singer in rock history. For me, nobody comes close. He is the best for me. And then we've got the amazing John Deacon there on bass guitar as well. So fabulous photograph there of the group. And of course, we've got, the iconic Queen crest as well. And then we'll get into these tracks. So, oh yeah, produced by Roy Thomas Baker and Queen. Yeah, and I love that down the bottom as well. Part of the sleeve notes. So, Virtuoso Castanets by Roy Thomas Baker, and Nobody Played Synthesizer Again. Well, that was to change on her future releases, but yeah, at this point, 74, they hadn't used any synthesizers by this stage in the career. This is very early on, so this is this is only the second album, isn't it? This one. They had Queen before it in 73, and then this one. And then later the same year, 74, they released Sheer Heart Attack as well, which is a fantastic album. I do have that one in my collection. So let's get on to it. So side white, which is side A or side one, is it's excellent. I do prefer side two though, or side black. So I'll get into favourites. But before I mention that, so I think a lot of people consider this to be Queen's like prog album. I do think there's a bit of a concept to it as well. It's all very sort of fantasy based, like singing about, kings and queens and marches and battles and, ogres and things like that, fairies. It does seem to have like quite a Tolkien-esque sort of mystical vibe to it, I would say, musically and thematically as well with the lyrics. But there is some truly superb, absolute stomping bits of music on it. So we'll do side white first. So my favourite track on side white is, well, you get the procession first of all, which is this short instrumental piece that then goes into Father to Son, which is a Brian May track. May's credited with it. Brilliant vocal performance by Freddie Mercury on it. There's some great guitar work on it that's really heavy, almost quite sort of Led Zeppelin, sort of Sabbath sounding, like really quite heavy stomping guitar work on it by Brian May. I just love the heaviness of Father to Son, but there's great dynamics in the track where it quietens down as well. And that's not to say that I don't like White Queen and Someday One Day, because I do, but I love Loser in the End on side white, which is a Roger Taylor track, and Roger Taylor actually sings lead vocals on it and sounds fantastic. Absolutely love Roger Taylor's voice. I mean, to be in a band with somebody of the vocal quality of Freddie Mercury, you are going to be outshone, I suppose, or overlooked to some degree because of just the sheer force of nature that Freddie was, and just how incredible and majestic his voice was. But Roger's singing on here, I love it. I love the tone of it. There's like a real sort of grit and gravel to the voice. Although Roger could, he had amazing range, clearly does that very iconic, famous falsetto part on Bohemian Rhapsody. But yeah, he sounds great on that track. So Loser in the End has always been a favourite. But my favourite side of this brilliant album is side Black. I love everything on here. I really do. The March of the Black Queen is just unbelievable. Olga Battle is epic. You know, for a song to have a title like Olga Battle, it better had be epic, and this one is indeed epic. Nevermore. I mean, these are all brilliant, but my favourite song on this side, arguably on the album maybe as well, along with Father to Son, is Seven Seas of Rye, which is one of Queen's just, you know, it is one of their very, very best songs. It's just a great, great song. Got that awesome, arpeggiated piano riff on it, the intro. Just really great sort of tempo to it. It just feels urgent and energetic, and it's just a great way to close off the album, Seven Seas of Rye. Love the performance on it as well. Singing throughout is unbelievable by Freddie, as you'd expect, but all the band are on searing form. John Deacon's bass work is amazing. Brian May's got some fantastic showcase work with his guitar playing. And then, of course, Roger not only being brilliant on the drums as he always was and is, but great singing as well to boot. So, yeah, really, really happy to have Queen 2. So I've spun that one. It sounded great and very, very pleased to have it. So very grateful to Mum and Dad for sorting that one out for me. And then we'll get into these other three as well that are all Queen. So coming up next from 1976. So these three were all bought from the same seller. This was online. I got these. We've got A Day at the Races. So this one here has got, it's a German pressing, this one. So it's got a German hype sticker on it there for you to see. There you go. Price Attack. And it's another gate, it's a gatefold. So let's show you that inside. Got all your lyrics and everything there. Photograph of the band. Of course, you've got the gorgeous crest there, taking front and centre on the cover. Comprising astrological signs, I should say, of the band members form part of the crest. There we go. Great concept that for the group. And then we've got just the pictures there of the band. Great photos again. There we go. So for a lot of people, or certainly what I've read of A Day at the Races, it's kind of regarded as being in the shadow of A Night at the Opera, which came out in 75. Again, I always want to know from people, especially with a band like Queen, who've got such a rich history and so many fans out there, where do you place the likes of Queen 2 and A Day at the Races amongst their discography, and the other two I'm going to show here as well. And I think it's unfair to me personally that it does sort of loom in the shadow of A Night at the Opera. Arguably, that is the better album, but there is some fantastic songs on here. I mean, it's got one of my, I'd say, definitely top 5 favourite ever Queen songs on here, which is Somebody to Love. I've always adored Somebody to Love. That's definitely one that takes me right back to being a kid. I mean, that was one of Mum's favourites as well. It's my wife's favourite Queen song as well. I just love the kind of the doo-wop inspired outro on it. The structure of the song I just think works so well. The way that the vocal melody is delivered. The lyrics are delivered over the musical backdrop. Just the way Freddie's almost speaking in a sense, it just works really, really well. But then he just, the voice just explodes into being as and when he chooses to. Great use of dynamics in it. Tie Your Mother Down is a song of Queen's that I've always enjoyed a lot as well. You and I like a lot. Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy. So yeah, I mean, this one I do think is slightly underrated. I mean, there may be people out there where this is their favourite Queen album. If it is, do please let me know. I've not spun this copy yet, but it looks to be in very fine condition indeed. So yeah, does anybody agree with me about it sort of being in the shadow of A Night at the Opera, or do you feel like it stands very much on its own 2 feet? It's an album I've not heard in years. I'll be dead honest about it, and I've not reacquainted myself with it since buying it, for my birthday. But I really can't wait to get it back on again. But yeah, I think if you're going to listen to a few off this one, I'd pick Somebody to Love, that's essential. Tie Your Mother Down and Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy are three of my favourites on that one. Okay, so then moving on. Love the artwork on this one. So this was in 1977. So this is the second of the three that was in this little lot of Queen titles. We have got here News of the World. There we go. Brilliant front cover, that. That, superb. Put it to the side, you can see it there. So I'm going to take the record out, and you can see the full, look at that, full thing there in focus. And I'll be honest, I've not really read up on the, I've not read up on the genesis of the artwork on this one, so I'm not going to comment on it. I know someone out there will be able to do that for me, but I'm certainly not going to start, commenting on something that I haven't looked up. But it's always really struck me, the artwork. Always gives me kind of like German, like a sort of almost like a bit of a Metropolis sort of vibe off it to me, like Fritz Lang or something. It just has that really sort of futuristic kind of feel to it as well. So that's my take on it. It definitely looks, very European in its aesthetic. So, and then we've got the inside there as well. I love how the hand there's reaching in, the expression there on the robot's face there, the Iron Man, the Iron Giant. Yeah, there's everybody there running in sheer panic and terror. Just a really, really great photograph. Great painting, that. Superbly done. There we go, News of the World. So, yeah, I mean, this is a record that, let me show you these first as well. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So there's the original inner there with the lyrics on. Another photograph of the group at the bottom. My thumb there covering it up a little bit. There we go. So yeah, to be honest, for me, this is a record that I'm not as familiar with as the other Queen albums. I'm not quite sure why. I think because I had access to listening to all these, growing up, and like my brother-in-law Michael, who he's been in my life since, well, for as long as I can remember. He's been because there's quite big age gaps in my family, so he's been with my sister for decades, and he's a huge Queen fan. He had all these albums on CD at one point or another, and I do remember him playing News of the World amongst many others many times. But I just think, for me personally, when I was growing up, there were other albums of theirs that I went to more. Definitely the one that I'm about to show next was one that I went to a lot. But I mean, what I do like on here, I actually do love. I mean, it's got the 1-2 punch of We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions to start it off. Although I don't really think that they're amongst my favourite on the records on the record, although they are iconic. Those two songs. I'm not sure if they're the best on here. Really, I could name at least three others that I prefer more. It's just that the sheer popularity of those songs, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, getting played at umpteen, numerous sporting events and, TV programs, and whenever there's any sort of opportunity to play anything that is to signify triumph in some way, then you will get We Are the Champions. It is a sort of a rousing anthem, isn't it? So that can't be denied. And then We Will Rock You as well is just, a total stomper. It is iconic, but maybe it's a bit guilty or a bit unfortunate to feel very overplayed to me. So ones that I prefer more, I do love Sheer Heart Attack. So that's the song Sheer Heart Attack, which is on here. Although the album of the same name came out a few years before. I love Spread Your Wings is one of my favourites on here as well. Great song. And I do absolutely love It's Late, actually, as well on side two. I'd say It's Late is a superb song. So yeah, three songs on here to go for, assuming that everybody knows the 1-2 of We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. I'd go for Sheer Heart Attack, Spread Your Wings, and It's Late. But it's a strong album, News of the World, but by my own admission, one that I probably should spend a little bit more time with. I'm certainly more au fait with, Night at the Opera, Day at the Races, Queen 2, the debut, and certainly this album that I'm about to show now. And Sheer Heart Attack, I think, again at the time of recording, is probably my favourite ever Queen album. So I'd put Sheer Heart Attack above even Queen 2, I think. So high praise indeed, that for me. Okay, and then the next one, love this one, listened to this loads as a kid. The reason being that it is pretty much, although not in name, the soundtrack to one of my favourite ever films. And the reason I'm smiling is because I know that a lot of my friends tune in to me and they know, they really know how much this film means to me. I just adore it. I've watched it tens of thousands of times. It's just one of the coolest films ever. It's got some of the greatest editing going on in it, and segues from scene to scene. It's just an absolutely stunning, stunning fantasy epic from the 80s. The film is Highlander, came out in 1986, and this also came out in 86. This is A Kind of Magic by Queen. And as you can see, it says there at the top, includes 6 songs of the Highlander movie. So even though this is not an official soundtrack to Highlander, there are 6 songs on it that appeared on the film. So yeah, I adore that film, and I've got a really, really soft spot for this album. So always love that cover art. I mean, it absolutely screams 1980s, doesn't it? It really, really does. All those colours and those animated versions there of the band. Love Freddie there. He's smiling. He've even captured John Deacon's expression so well there as well. Got the big grin of Roger, and then of course you got Brian. So yeah, I've always loved that artwork. So yeah, this is another gatefold. So we'll take that out and show you there. There we go. Get everything in. Got the genie there coming out the lamp there at the side. Got the backing singers, the girls there as well. Got all kinds going on. Real feast for the eyes, that one. Got rabbits coming out of top hats, all kinds. Everything magical that you can think of, pretty much. There we go. There's the back. Brilliant video as well for the song as well. It's kind of magic. It had such a great video. It really, really did. Great effects actually for the day on that one. Okay, and then we've got the original inner sleeve on it as well, with all your lyrics printed. Look at that, all those colours. Looks absolutely fabulous, doesn't it? Another photograph of the group there as well. Okay, so yeah, I'm not going to get into reviewing Highlander because I'm not a movie channel. I am a music channel, but let's just say I do absolutely love that film. I really do. It's just takes me back to being a kid, and yeah, I just think it's one of the coolest films ever made. That for many reasons, but yeah, it did certainly benefit from having these wonderful Queen songs on there. So let's look at some of the best songs on here that were on the film to start us off with. So Who Wants to Live Forever is just absolutely gorgeous. That is on side 2, track 1. That's a Brian May composition. Absolutely stunning. It's got a real sense of melancholy to that one, and it does fit in perfectly with the narrative of the film for anybody who's maybe not seen it. Give Me the Prize is another one here from May, which is in reference to the prize that they're all vying for in the film. Again, don't want to give any spoilers away. Don't Lose Your Head. Taylor, again, Roger Taylor, a composition, self-explanatory for people that have seen it. They'll know what that's in reference to. And then Princes of the Universe is just an absolute rocker. That is the opening song on Highlander. Appears over the credits. Just gets you right into the mood of the film. You get this brief spoken word piece by Sean Connery, and then Prince of the Universe kicks in, and it's just you're just ready for the film then, and it's just a great way to introduce the setup for how the film kicks off, and it's a great song with on this album as well. So that closes off the record. Prince of the Universe, real epic, that one. It opens up with One Vision. This album's got one of Brian May's catchiest little riffs on there. Absolutely superb. Then of course you get A Kind of Magic, or as I always call it, even though it's not, it's A Kind of Magic. It is A Kind of Magic. That's credited here to Roger Taylor. Brilliant song. Really catchy. great big hit single for the group. As again mentioned before, brilliant video to it. Definitely a song that I've just got so much love and admiration and sentiment for. And yeah, I'd say that those are my sort of, well, I've probably named about four or five there. So let me narrow it down to three picks for people that maybe want to experience this album for the first time or even getting into Queen. So actually, I'll give myself four. So definitely One Vision, A Kind of Magic, Who Wants to Live Forever, and Prince of the Universe are the four that I would say I love, particularly on that record. So yeah, 1986, A Kind of Magic, superb. Yeah, really pleased to have that. So as you can see there, I've got four Queen studio albums in my birthday haul. So absolutely chuffed with that. Just looking forward to giving those other three a spin. Queen two's already been played, but yeah, really looking forward to rediscovering the magic of that album. Okay, so it's at this point that I'm going to do a quick shout out to you, the audience, for still being here with me. I've only got two records left to show now of this batch, but I really appreciate your time and attention to this point. If you are still with me, it really does mean a lot. Thank you very much for being here, and I really do hope that you've enjoyed what I've shown you so far. Okay, so these last two then are new listens for me. So that might be quite surprising to some who've been watching me for some time. The reason I say that is because they'll know that I'm a fan of both of these bands, quite a big fan. But for whatever reason, throughout my life today, I just haven't listened to these two albums. So can't explain why. Don't know whether or not my attention has just been taken in other directions, or there's always been something that's kind of caught me, from left field, and maybe my attention's just gone another way. But I've got them both here now, and I'm very pleased to discover them and give them a spin. So again, I'll be really interested to know from people in the comments if they've had, which I'm sure they've had, a long relationship with these albums. What do they mean to you? What can I look forward to? What are your favourite tracks? So can't really be picking favourite tracks and stuff off these two, because although I know a couple of songs in isolation, I don't know them overall as albums to be able to comment with any, I would say, with any authority. So these two were purchased from a shop called, it was called the 101 store, I think, from memory, and it's based in Northwich, which again a local area to me. So these were all, as you can see, were purchased from quite local dealers and traders and shops, and that'll be the same in part two as well. So the gentleman in there was a lovely chap by the name of Steve. And what was really nice of Steve, actually, during my visit before I picked these two records up, is I got talking to him about myself and mentioned that I had a channel, and he actually put the channel on my introduction video while I was browsing in the shop. So it was quite a surreal moment for me. The first time that's ever happened, where I was walking around and looking at what he had, and my my voice was coming out of his laptop, and he was just talking to me about what music I was into, how long I've been doing the channel, and that type of thing. So big thumbs up to Steve for being so kind enough to not only have a really nice chat with me on the day that I went in, but also to take such a lovely interest in my channel, and to give my introductory video a play in store as well. That was really kind of him, and I really appreciated that. So I picked these two up for a great price. So it was a tough decision, because he had some truly brilliant titles in his shop, but the two I landed on here, I'm really happy with, primarily because they are going to be new listens. So first of all, I've got here Mott by Mott the Hoople, and I've got a few other albums of Mott the Hooples in my collection that I've spoke about on the channel before. So, but I do believe this one in particular is regarded as being one of Mott the Hoople's very best. For some people, it might even be the best. So it's got the original sleeve here with the lyrics printed on. And I think the only track I know on here, really, I would say, there's maybe two on there that I know with any kind of confidence. All the Way from Memphis, I've definitely listened to before. And, I don't know, maybe three. Hymn for the Dudes, Honolulu Boogie, I definitely know them three. Listened to them before. And the rest of them I'm really not too sure because I've never owned the album before. And then it's got D.H. Lawrence credited on here with A Sane Revolution. So piece, of course, D.H. Lawrence, obviously the author of Lady Chatterley's Lover. So yeah, just looking at some other bits and pieces on here. Oh, Andy Mackay appears on here, obviously from Roxy Music on saxophone. Recorded at Air London Studios and EMI Abbey Road, February through April 1973. So yeah, I'm really excited to listen to that one. Always enjoyed what I've heard of Mott the Hoople. So yeah, if people do believe or think or feel that it is one of their very best, then please do let me know. So yeah, that'll be a fresh listen for me. That I really like that front cover as well. Do think that's really nice. So there we go. And then the other one I picked up then from the 101 store. Um, Again, people might be quite surprised, but yeah, I've not listened to this album. I don't think at all. Don't ever recall ever listening to it in the record shop I worked at or anything like that. I'm not even 100% sure that I've even watched the film either that was obviously based on this album. So from 1969, I think this was when it originally came out. We have got Tommy by The Who. So yeah, I've got this at a really lovely price from Steve in this shop. Delighted to see it and to pick it up. So again, I know a few songs in isolation. I mean, obviously Pinball Wizard's on here, which is one of the Who's greatest ever songs. I've seen the Who live a good few times. Only with Roger and Pete, the original members, but I have seen them at a number of different festivals. That they still do rock. But yeah, this is definitely again one for me. That I'm going to be listening to and experiencing properly for the first time. It's the big famous rock opera. So a concept and an approach to making music that Pete Townsend did, popularise, I suppose, and did it to great effect. I mean, I know Tommy's got a lot of admirers. So yeah, double album. Let's get the two records out there. Got the booklet included in here, which is great as well. Great to have the booklet. These things, you can't always assume that these things will be present in second-hand copies. There are many, many albums that I've got in my collection, that just don't have all their little bits and pieces still intact. Whether it's a lyric sheet or a booklet or posters or postcards or whatever it is, really. But yeah, this one here all looks to be present and correct. So yeah, the booklet's in there as well. And then we've got the artwork here to show. So it's that bit there. And this opens out. Just for anybody who's not seen it. So yeah, this is classic rock. I mean, Mott the Hoople and The Who, just classic British rock. So does that bit open? No, that bit doesn't open out. I don't think that one. Does it? No, it doesn't. That one doesn't open out. That's that. Still getting to grips with this one, as you can tell. It's a new one for me. There we go. So yeah, please do let me know in the comments what you think of me acquiring Tommy. Where does it rank for you within the Who's catalogue? What can I expect from it? I'm sure it's going to be a long listen. I know that, which is absolutely fine with me. A lot of my favourite ever albums are big listens. So I'm excited for that. I mean, there's a lot of music on here. Just looking at some of the track, the sort of the lists here. I mean, you've got something on here, for instance, Underture, which is nearly 10 minutes long. Then you've got things on here that are like literal 10 seconds. One here, a couple here under a minute, a couple just over a minute. The Acid Queen, I think I'm pretty sure I've heard the Acid Queen before, actually. Maybe it's one of those that when I do put it on, I might know more than I think I do, maybe more than I'm giving myself credit for. But yeah, I just not ever really recall ever listening to it. I mean, maybe I've listened to it at a friend's house one night after we'd been to the clubs or going out drinking or something. Maybe I know a mate of mine years ago when we used to go to like indie clubs and stuff, and we'd all head back, you know, a group of us for a party or to carry on the party. There'd be a lot of times where he'd stick all kinds of albums on, and he was into a lot of the classic rock stuff. Although he used to put on a lot of psychedelic music, you know, we'd be listening to the likes of the 13th Floor Elevators and, you know, the Nuggets compilation and stuff. And he was really into his post punk and stuff as well. So we'd be listening to what Joy Division and things like that. But I don't know whether or not he ever put the Who on, or the Tommy album for that matter. I can't really remember, but I'm looking forward to giving that one a play anyway, and seeing how I get on with it. So that's me done for part one of my vinyl birthday haul for 2025. So I really do hope that you enjoyed what I showed today, and if you are new to the channel, please do let me know if you liked what I showed, if maybe what I've done today would perhaps persuade you to continue to watch my content. If you did enjoy what I did today, if you're a reviewer, you know, old or new, please do give the video a like. If you enjoyed what I did, I'd really appreciate it if you did. It helps to support me in the channel. And if you are new around here and you did enjoy what I did, then please do consider subscribing to the Vinyl Sanctuary. That would be wonderful if you did that, and I'd be very grateful. You can then choose, if you wish, to click the notification bell, and that will keep you updated of any future videos that I've got landing. So the way things are at the moment, can give you a little bit of a heads up. So I've got part two of my vinyl birthday haul to record and upload. I'm also very soon as well, again at the time of recording, going to be celebrating the first birthday of the Vinyl Sanctuary. So my first video was recorded for the channel in the 11th of May, had to remember there, yeah, the 11th of May 2024. So unbelievably, I'm coming up for my first birthday of running the channel and creating it. So I'll do a little video just to mark the you know, the birth of the channel, and then I need to get back then into the final part of the All My Colours series, which I've mentioned during this video. So I really appreciate people being patient for me getting back to that series, because I know that a lot of you have enjoyed that one, and I've appreciated all your comments on it. So the fifth and final part of that video will come up once these birthday related videos have been recorded and done and dusted. So that's all from me. Do let me know what you think of what I talked about in the comments section. Always happy to see thoughts and feelings of people and to get into some really good conversations. And until next time, hopefully it won't be too long till I'm back. Take care and bye for now.